at globaltv.com.
Global National with Kevin Newman. Substituting tonight, Robin Gill.
Hi, thanks for joining us. It's one of Canada's most recognizable brands, and today the makers of BlackBerry took a swing at America's Apple. Waterloo-based RIM unveiled a new generation of smartphone called the Torch. It comes at a crucial time in the industry. As this graph shows, when Apple's iPhone came out in 2007, it made it easy to download web pages and left every other smartphone maker, including BlackBerry, in its dust. As Shirley Engel tells us, the future of RIM depends on getting in the game.
It's been hyped the iPhone killer, and the BlackBerry Torch is a do-or-die device for research in motion, hoping to snuff out some of Apple's red-hot market share.
We've changed just about every application in BlackBerry 6.
From a touch screen that puts Facebook and Twitter at your fingertips to a slide-out keyboard and new operating system to attract those app developers, the splashy unveiling has the Twitterverse abuzz about whether they knocked it out of the park.
If this does not succeed in turning around their market share, then I think that, I don't mean that they'll fail tomorrow, disappear tomorrow, but they're going to be on a long, slow slide to oblivion.
RIM's problem is twofold. Not only does iPhone have the cool factor to attract young people, but Apple is also taking a big bite out of BlackBerry's loyal business clientele. They helped build the company, but it turns out they want all that cool stuff too.
But how to get them and image-conscious consumers to buy in? Early reviews in store are mixed.
You'd like to support BlackBerry, being a Canadian company, and I've also only heard good things, but I think probably a little bit of the status of having an iPhone.
The iPhone still has glitches, and like BlackBerry's coming out with something new already.
RIM's got other challenges. Concerns about users accessing porn through their devices has sparked outrage in some Arab countries. The United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia are threatening bans on service unless the company allows them access to encrypted messages. In a rare move, Ottawa has even stepped in to try and broker a truce.
We think there are appropriate ways you can address those security issues, as we do here in Canada, without compromising the ability to operate BlackBerries and communication systems like that.
While a launch date of August 12th has been set for the U.S., Canadians are left in the dark about when this made-in-Canada device will hit stores here.
I'm hoping for a lineup, and I'm hoping for one in my hand.
And you can be sure the whole industry will be watching those sales.
While the company increased its global market share in the cell phone area to 40% last year, where they've really been losing to Apple is in that multifunction smartphone market. Apple actually increased by over 5% in the first quarter of this year, while RIM fell by over 1%. So, Robin, the real test as to whether this device is the saving grace for RIM will be not just to see if people line up for it on the day it's launched, but also when those preliminary sales figures are reflected in the next quarter. So a lot of fingers are crossed tonight.
All right, Shirley Engel reporting tonight. Thanks very much, Shirley. The initial market reaction to BlackBerry's new offering hasn't been overwhelming. The company's stock fell 4% today. We spoke with Toronto technology analyst Jay Goldman about how BlackBerry's Torch compares to Apple's iPhone 4.
This is the first device RIM's ever made that's got a touchscreen and a physical keyboard on it. Be a very familiar feeling device for BlackBerry users. Got a lot of the styling cues that we've seen on BlackBerries in the past, but for the first time ever, you can now slide the screen up and you've got a full keyboard underneath it. I think that they're kind of trying to appeal to their core audience and say this is a great device for enterprise users, and they're also saying that we've built a whole bunch of stuff into BlackBerry OS 6 and into the touchscreen that's really going to appeal to consumers.
Coming up next on Global National, summer tragedies. What's behind a sudden surge in drowning deaths? A deadly clash between Israel and Lebanon. Could this spark lead to another all-out war? Will it be a legal obligation?
Just wish this nightmare would disappear.
Court rules on a Depression-era law forcing adult children to care for their elderly parents. The numbers are shocking and they keep going up. Canada has seen a major spike in drownings this summer. Just yesterday in Ontario, 2 people were pulled unconscious from backyard pools. Now, as Christina Stevens tells us, Ontario's coroner is ordering an investigation.
The frantic rush by a relative to a 4-year-old's bedside. The toddler still in critical condition after being pulled from a family pool during a church get-together Monday. A scary reality brought too close to home for young neighbors.
I'm just thinking that it could have been any of us, like me and my brothers who have drowned, so I'm just astonished and like it can happen to anyone.
And this summer it has. The same day, a 76-year-old woman drowned in a backyard pool, and a teenager missing in a Manitoba lake is presumed dead. Earlier in the weekend, a 2-year-old died in an Ontario pool and a 22-year-old woman in a river. All of these adding to a growing death toll across the country. So far this year, 237 people have drowned, compared to 217 at the same time last year. 79 of the deaths have taken place in Ontario, a number which has prompted an unprecedented move by the coroner's office, a fast-tracked review of this summer's drownings.
We saw what we thought was a trend and a surge in these deaths, and because of that we thought, is there something new that's evolving?
He says it could be as simple as warmer weather sending more people to water's edge, but they want to know for sure. The glaring fact already evident is the number of toddlers who've died. In Ontario, there have been 7. That's a 10-year record and compares to 1 last year.
The message is simply, for children, they can die quietly and quickly. They need to be supervised by a competent adult and be within 2 feet of them.
The Red Cross says often there is no warning. Once a young child is submerged, there's only silence.
A matter of seconds, a small child especially can drown. New research is indicating that large splash and commotion is not typical.
When the coroner's review is done, they'll release a report with their findings. It'll include targeted recommendations in hopes of preventing further drownings. Robin?
Christina Stevens in Toronto tonight. Thanks very much, Christina. Someone who seems to have had a grudge against his co-workers opened fire on them at a beer distribution warehouse in Connecticut today. 8 of the estimated 60 people who were inside at the time were killed. 1 remains in critical condition. It appears a driver with the company opened fire when he arrived at the building for a disciplinary hearing. After his murderous rampage, he turned the gun on himself. What was the worst environmental disaster in American history is now the worst accidental oil spill in world history. But those macabre milestones will hopefully end in the next few days as BP begins plugging, not only capping its oil leak in the Gulf of Mexico. Paul Johnson is monitoring progress from our Washington bureau tonight. Paul?
Robin, if you've been following this story, you know there have been many false starts since this disaster happened. But finally, based on the work they've been doing this afternoon, they think they may be able to get a permanent cap on this well within about 48 hours or so.
While oil slicks and tar balls are still turning up on the Gulf Coast, they're much less frequent than when BP's well was gushing out of control. Today, the state of Alabama said its waters are mostly oil-free, and they may be able to reopen them to fishing soon. But the biggest source of optimism was more progress today on the final effort to kill the well.
This is a really positive step forward. It's going to be good news in a time where there hasn't been a lot of good news, but I don't think it should be cause for premature celebration. I think there's a lot of hard work to do.
Today, BP started injecting drilling mud directly down the throat of the well, the prelude to what they're calling a static kill that'll use cement to choke off the well from the inside. Eventually, relief wells they've been digging for months will do the same at the bottom of the well, sealing it off once and for all, and shifting emphasis to what's likely to be a years-long cleanup.
And one question that's come up is what's going to happen to this well once BP finally gets it under control? After all, we know there's a lot of valuable oil down there. BP said again today they have no intention of ever returning to this well and trying to produce oil out of it to sell that oil. As far as they're concerned, this is going to be a lost asset for them. Robin?
Paul Johnson in Washington tonight. Thanks very much, Paul. In yet another sign of the growing confidence and brashness of the Taliban insurgency, a small group attacked an entrance to the massive NATO base at the Kandahar airfield today. A suicide bomber blew himself up as a decoy while 10 others tried to penetrate the base. According to Afghan officials, they were immediately gunned down. A violent confrontation between Israeli and Lebanese forces has left 4 soldiers and a journalist dead. The incident on the border between the two countries is the most serious since the 2006 war between Hezbollah and Israel. It has escalated tensions, but as Stuart Greer reports, there is little appetite for another war.
Tensions along the Lebanese-Israeli border have been building for some time, and today they erupted.